So I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person who's made this comparison, but when Jimmy Butler landed on his tailbone in the first quarter of what would eventually be a Warriors loss to the Houston Rockets, and please check out our Warriors coverage if you're not tapped into that already. But when Jimmy Butler fell on his tailbone and had to leave the game early, I immediately got flashbacks to when Steph sprained his MCL in pretty much not the exact same situation, but it was the round one against the Rockets on that floor. And Steph would return. He'd have that infamous, well, not infamous, he'd have that game against the Blazers in overtime where he declared that I'm here, I'm back. But we all know that Steph was never really quite the same after returning. And a lot of what the Warriors are going to do, both in this series and in the playoffs overall, is going to hinge on whether Jimmy Butler makes a comeback. And I was after game one, I was wondering how many minutes Jonathan Kuminga was going to play in the entirety of this series. I personally thought his tenure with the Warriors was pretty much over, but if Butler's not playing, then Kuminga's going to be back in the rotation. But that's neither here nor there. That's for Joseph Dikis and company to discuss. We're here, of course, to talk about San Francisco Giants baseball as they defeated the Milwaukee Brewers 4-2. They improve to 16-9 on the season on what has seemingly now become a windy-ish night at Oracle Park. And heading into the ninth inning, the main story of today's game was Logan Webb, who threw 6 1/3 scoreless innings, had 6 strikeouts, did have 3 walks, has been striking out a lot of batters over the course of this season so far, 44 over 36 1/3 innings, those 36 1/3 innings being the second most in all of baseball behind only the Philadelphia Phillies' Zach Wheeler. And Webb did find himself in a couple of different jams over the course of the game. In the second inning, the Brewers loaded the bases on him, but he's able to strike out Jackson Chourio to escape that. In the sixth, he got a major assist from his defense. William Contreras attempted to go from first to third on a single by Sal Frelick, and Mike Yastrzemski throws just this perfect textbook one-hopper to Matt Chapman at third base. Chapman applies the tag, and Contreras kind of, not face plants, but ends up writhing in pain a little bit as he slides. Webb was actually telling us that he didn't see the play unfold because while he was running to go back up the play, he ran into Brewers third base coach Jason Lane. They kind of both hit each other with the "my bad, I'm sorry." So I don't think he saw it unfold in real time, but he definitely did see the replay. Christian Koss made a fine defensive play in that sixth inning of his own, kind of took Rhys Hoskins' tricky one-hopper, did like a counterclockwise spin through to first. And then I think in the eighth inning, there's another great defensive play as well. It was Willy Adames' diving stop, throws over to first. So a lot of good defense in this game from the Giants. And Wilmer Flores also drove in 2 more runs, his 26th and 27th RBIs of the season. So heading into the ninth inning, those were kind of the main storylines of the game. But what eventually happened is Ryan Walker had a second consecutive, just really uncharacteristically poor outing. As we all know, on Easter Sunday, he allowed 4 earned runs and recorded no outs against the Los Angeles Angels and blew his first save of the season, and he was dangerously close to blowing his second save of the season. Loads the bases up, and Bryce Terang slaps an opposite field ground rule double. That eventually forces manager Bob Melvin to take out Walker and bring in Camilo Doval, who probably was not expecting to pitch in the ninth inning, given that the Giants had a very healthy 4-run lead. And Doval's in a situation where a base hit is going to score the tying run, and he's also tasked with facing the very top of the Brewers lineup, a very good top of a lineup. But Doval's able to get Jackson Chourio to strike out swinging. He's able to get Christian Yelich, the former MVP, to ground out and end the game. But given how these last 2 outings have gone, it just, again, very uncharacteristically poor outings for Walker, and every reliever's susceptible to having these types of blow-ups. And kind of given how these last 2 outings have gone for Walker, Melvin was asked after the game how he kind of envisions that closer's role going forward, whether in the next opportunity for a save it would be Walker or they would kind of mix and match. And Melvin said that it's something that they'll figure out as they go along, but the team as a whole does like them both, that being Ryan Walker and Camilo Doval. The exact quote being, "It's too early for me to say anything, not talking to anybody, but we're in a great position that we have 2 guys who can close games." Now, again, when it comes to relievers, there's a high probability for kind of volatility here. And we saw even with Camilo Doval earlier this season, he had, I think it was either 2 or 3 just kind of bad outings. And when you have those outings really early in the season, it can negatively impact your ERA in a big way. And we've seen that with Walker, who has now allowed 6 earned runs over his last 2 outings and recorded just the 1 out. But again, it's super early in the season. There's a lot of baseball left. That being said, one of the things with Walker that is, again, it's very, very early in the season, but one of the trends with Walker that I did notice early on is that his strikeouts per 9 innings and his strikeout rate as a whole has really maybe not cratered is not the right word, but is significantly down compared to where it was last year. And again, I want to keep reiterating this. It's April, and relievers are susceptible to bad outings. Prior to the outing that he had in Anaheim, I want to say it was Jeff Young who tweeted something to the effect of Walker had converted 15 of his last 15 save opportunities. Again, if you can name me a closer not named Mariano Rivera or Trevor Hoffman or just any Hall of Famer who is consistently elite for the entirety of the season, you've got yourself a Hall of Fame closer. I think that's something that's worth remembering. Just it's so difficult to be consistently excellent, especially as a reliever, for the entirety of the season. So we'll see how this continues to develop, but that was kind of the one thing, as we're leaving this game, that we're kind of left on.